Who is Ellen G. White and what is her story? Ellen lived from 1827 to 1915. She was born in Gorham, Maine, to a Methodist Christian family. She and her family in her teenage years became part of the Advent movement, a revival movement among Christians in the northeastern United States in the early 1800s. This was part of a larger movement around the world proclaiming the second coming of Jesus. The Advent movement focused on a careful study of the Bible prophecies. In 1844, the Advent movement came to a crisis known as the Great Disappointment. It was based on the prophecy of Daniel 8:14, and they believed that it pointed out that Jesus would return in the year 1844. Like the early disciples of Jesus who failed to understand him going to the cross because they failed to understand the prophecies surrounding it, so these disciples in the 1800s met with a great disappointment because of a failure to understand the exact meaning of certain prophecies. As the first century disciples arose from their disappointment, finding light and instruction from Jesus, so did the Advent believers. With a renewed understanding making sense of where they had gone wrong, these believers went on to change the world. Ellen Harmon at the time, later to become Ellen White, at age 17 was one of them. She would go on to become one of the 3 founding members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, along with James White, a young Adventist preacher who was to become her husband, and Joseph Bates, an old retired ship captain, who after his conversion to Jesus became a very great supporter of the Advent movement. None of them ever dreamed at this time that eventually they would go on to form the Seventh-day Adventist Church officially in 1863. None of them even knew about the Sabbath until 1846, but a message was developing. In December of 1844, just 2 months after the Great Disappointment, Ellen and several sisters from the Advent movement were at a prayer meeting at someone's house. As they were looking for light and praying about their situation and their discouragement, God answered their prayers. Ellen fell into a trance. She received a vision from God right there during the prayer meeting. This vision encouraged her and the Advent believers to keep focused on Jesus and to keep focused on the message Jesus gives us in Bible prophecy. As perhaps you can imagine, Ellen was very reluctant to share this message with others, fearing what people would think of her. But with encouragement from God and from many others, she went on to fulfill 70 years of prophetic ministry. Many like to attack her as a false prophet. Others have no idea who she is. Yet millions today believe that she was a sincere messenger of the Lord, providing light and counsel to God's last day movement for Bible truth. Regardless of opinions, this is her story.